Welcome back. This is Lecture 12 of How to Study Jyotish series, Jyotish as a Life Practice. So let's get right into it. So, the objective of this lecture is to understand Jyotish as more than a system or body of knowledge, as a continuous embodied practice of awareness, alignment, and self discovery that unfolds across a lifetime. So, we touched upon this in the previous lecture, but that was more about how, what kind of what a study path might look like. But this lecture is more about how to understand Jyotish and relate to Jyotish in a way that you can see it as a lifelong practice. So, this lecture explores how Jyotish integrates with daily life, other spiritual disciplines, and the ongoing journey of becoming. So the we are gonna so before we you can just pause, scan this QR code, and see if this is the right fit for you. You're more than welcome. I'll be so excited to have you on board. So let's move. These are the five sections that we're going to cover in this lecture: the shift in perspective, awareness and attunement to time and cycles, living in harmony with the grahas and natural rhythms, integrating Jyotish with yoga, meditation, and Ayurveda. Jyotish as an ongoing journey of self discovery. So, the shift in perspective. So, many approach Jyotish as a system, a body of knowledge, a set of techniques, or a predictive tool. And this, we have been speaking to this interpretation of Jyotish through and through. So while these aspects have value, truly embracing Jyotish means shifting from system to practice, to sadhana, from just a bunch of concepts and a belief system of some sort, or just a system that works, or you believe in the Parashari system, or you're a KP astrologer. No, it has to be seen as a darshana, a philosophy, a worldview, a point of view, a way of seeing, way of perception, a practice. So this shift involves moving from viewing Jyotish as external information to be consumed. You have to shift that towards seeing it as a living relationship, a way of attuning your awareness to time, nature, and yourself. So it's huge, actually, if you think about it. Jyotisha's practice asks us to engage continuously, to notice rhythms of the planets, the grahas, the flow of cycles, the subtle messages they bring into daily life, how you are interpreting those objective changes, and why are you even interpreting a message a certain way? What does that tell you about yourself? There's a process of self awareness more than an objective message being coming to you, message coming to you, because the same message could be reframed and can have an even more therapeutic effect on your psyche. But why this particular interpretation of a certain objective situation, a certain psychophysical weather is being perceived that way, will tell you something about your own emotional state, your own psyche, or your own structures. So, Jyotisha's practice asks us to engage continuously, to notice the rhythms of the grahas, the flow of cycles, yugas, personal yugas, individual states that you are in, whether you're in your own personal Satya Yuga or you're in your own Kali Yuga. You have to identify that and we have to become honest and sincere and humbled in that sense to whatever degree possible, of course. So, this perspective invites us into embodied awareness, sensing how natural rhythms manifest in body, manas, deha, manas, and circumstance, your environment. Intentional living, making choices aligned with natural timing and inner truth. Inner truth meaning your design. That's what I mean by inner truth. Inner truth is not that you have a personal truth, it's about your subjective interpretation of life according to your personal psychophysical, psychometaphysical design. Honoring that. Ongoing reflection, learning from experiences through the lens of Jyotish. So, this is not only about prediction alone, but about why things are predictive in the first place. What makes something predictable in the first place? What adds to the predictiveness? We're not asking maybe the right question here. If life is predictable, if something can be predicted, what does that imply? Shouldn't that shake me to the core of my being? What all questions arise from that? And it would take, shouldn't it take me into a quest, a journey? So much more so for us, it's more like, oh yeah, it's predictable. Yeah, so this is what's going to happen after 2 years. Oh yeah, this is what's conversation ends. Oh, let's order some tea or whatever. No, like it should blow our minds. It blows my mind, at least. I don't know if it would yours. I've seen it blow many people's minds. So, but more so about cultivation. It's about cultivating the person, the quality of experience, of presence, understanding, and harmony. Seeing Jyotish as a lifelong practice changes everything. It becomes a way of being rather than just a field of study. It's not just, oh, I study Jyotish on the side. No, you start carrying the lessons, the teachings, the understanding of Jyotish into all areas of life. It infiltrates everything that you're doing slowly and steadily. So that's a shift in perspective that we need. Then awareness and attunement to time and cycles. So core element of living Jyotish as a practice is cultivating an ongoing awareness of time. And time, we not just clock time, but the qualitative flow of natural cycles, the birth chart as a clock. Real clocks should actually, if we could design a wristwatch which is like a birth chart, and grahas moving and showing us all the locations and stuff, which is all software. But if we could turn that into a into a wristwatch, that's the real time that we are living. It's the qualitative flow of temporality which brings things into completion, fruition, and new situations arise according to those previous patterns. The self-generating, self-suggestive patterns patterning themselves. It's absolutely mind-blowing. This means learning to feel and observe. So the rhythms of the grahas as they move through signs and houses, rashis and bhavas more appropriately, the waxing and waning phases of manas, of moon, and their impact on emotion and energy, observing how my energy is shifting. Especially for women, it's very fruitful to attune and understand their menstrual cycles and its relationship to nature, the seasonal cycles and their influence on mind, body, and environment, personal cycles such as dashas, transits, and their psychological, psychophysical significance. So, attunement to these cycles is a skill developed through mindfulness, contemplative life, a consistent observation. It fosters a deeper sense of alignment, helping one to act in harmony with the natural flow rather than resistance. The natural flow might not always be pleasant. Natural flow does not mean that life becomes pleasurable. It means that while things are painful and pleasurable, there is an understanding about its unfoldment, which gives some kind of some spark of grace to the for the person to bear through everything, whether it's a golden shackle, as they say, or an iron shackle. The shacklality, the shacklity of things is is understood a little bit. So attunement to these cycles, I just read that. So this awareness also nurtures patience, understanding that everything unfolds in its own time. That gives patience. And while we are waiting for something to unfold, something we can see in the future, what are we going to do while we're waiting? So that's patience, as we discussed in the previous lecture as well. So living with this sensitivity transforms Jyotish from abstract theory into a practical, lived reality. It becomes existential, and Jyotish isn't something, you're not under the influence of the grahas. You become part and parcel of the entire psychocosmic system, which is a massive shift as you study Jyotish, and it has to slowly be cultivated. It's not the starting point, I believe. So, living in harmony with the grahas and natural rhythms. So, living Jyotish as a practice means aligning one's life with the energies and influence of the grahas and larger rhythms of nature. So, this includes what? This includes observing graha energies manifest in daily moods, decisions, and relationships, making conscious choices that respect the graha cycles, weather, seasons, whether and Ayurveda is absolutely grounds Jyotish into, it starts your relationship with your body, your diet. So you start using Jyotish, the connection of the psychometaphysics and your stomach. So, a dialogue between metaphysics, psychometaphysics of Earth, the underlying principles that show the nature of reality that we're living, and its relationship to our mere stomach, and its relationship to the body, psychosomatics of the body mind. It's mind blowing. If not anything else, it's at least that. So, developing sensitivity to the interplay between personal psychology and psychocosmic forces, these celestial forces of some sort, embracing the natural ebb and flow of challenges and opportunities rather than resisting them. But they're here regardless. Maybe resistance is part of it. Who knows? Maybe resisting them is part and parcel of the suffering that they need to induce. So in some sort, if you don't resist and suffering goes down, then how does it fulfill its task of making one suffer in some sense? So resistance itself is part and parcel of the ignorance that leads to for the fulfillment of that karmic theme in some sense. So it gets complicated very quickly as well, and a lot of dialogue is required, therefore. So, harmony with the grahas is not just about rigid adherence to rules of fear of fate, though it can induce fear. And that's why grounding in your meditative practice and cultivation of some deeper, heartfelt faith is very necessary while touching upon subtler topics and being able to see more, because seeing more will there's a burden that comes with becoming more aware and conscious of situations. A sense of responsibility arises, and if the ego structures are not developed enough, the burden of responsibility can make the whole structure collapse upon itself, turn it and make it regress into other states. So that kind of analytic psychotherapeutic work has to be done with a lot of care and nuance, but a fluid dance with life's rhythms. So we have to understand that it's not about fear of fate, but a dance with the rhythms of life. And it's very poetic, but it's also very practical. And Jyotish makes this poetry and this symbolic, psychomythic, poetic sort of ideas of the metaphysical abstract ideas very grounded, and that's the beauty of Jyotish. So through this, Jyotish becomes a guide for living with awareness, balance, and some kind of whatever degree possible, as I always say, grace. So integrating Jyotish with yoga, meditation, and Ayurveda. And yoga and meditation are one and the same thing, but yoga is in physical exercise, asanas, pratyahara, niyama, yama, pranayam, and all of these things. But meditation is dhyana, dharana especially is a beginner. So Jyotish is deeply interconnected with other traditional practices like yoga, meditation, and Ayurveda, forming a holistic approach to health, awareness, and growth. I don't know what spiritual means. You tell me what spiritual means. It's a very overused word now. I'll just say growth of some kind, positive growth of some kind, growth that leads to some sort of well being, let's say. So, yoga provides tools to cultivate discipline, presence, and inner stillness, preparing the mind and body to receive and integrate Jyotisha's insights. So, Yama, Niyama, and stuff are something that we all struggle with, but if we keep it in the center and understand, be humbled in the face of these yamas and niyamas and see our incapacity, in how incapable we are to even get them right in the first place. At least I am. I don't know. Maybe you're not. I'm assuming you are too. Um Meditation deepens self awareness and attunement, enabling clearer perception of subtle graha influences and inner rhythms. So, meditation makes you more focused and more aware. If there's trash in your system, you become more aware of the trash, and you can clean it out then through all the other tools. Meditation itself cleans a little bit of trash, and it deepens your contemplative capacity, thoughtfulness, capacity to stay in aloof, pleasant, joyful solitude of some sort, because one is not constantly begging for fulfillment from the external. So, pratyahara of some sort. So, Ayurveda aligns lifestyle and health practices with one's constitution and graha cycles, supporting balance and well being. So, Ayurveda is very interesting because I believe one of the core situation that happened in my own studies of Jyotish was the connection that lands Jyotish into a very observable and practical domain through Ayurveda. It makes everything much more grounded. And for a beginner, uh, one when one is essentially cultivating their perception is very important. Ayurveda helps in that process of connecting the gross with the subtle. So, integrating these disciplines with Jyotish amplifies their benefits and grounds Jyotish knowledge in embodied experience. So, this synthesis offers a comprehensive life practice, not just intellectual understanding, but lived wisdom of some kind. Or, if I don't know what wisdom also means, just how I don't know what spiritual means. There are again overused words, but you tell me again in the comments or in the chat what this means. So, Jyotish is an ongoing journey of self discovery. So, you see here, Jyotish invites us into a lifelong journey of self discovery and transformation. It is not a destination or a fixed body of knowledge. It has some basic core structures that have to be learned very carefully and systematically, but an unfolding process that deepens as we grow also happens as you develop a relationship and understanding with the discipline. So through continuous study and practice, what happens? We learn to recognize our patterns, potentials, and shadows with increasing clarity. At shadow work, which is all the sides which are unpleasant, I believe. There is also theory that shadow work also reveals all the positive qualities within you, but that's light sort of. That's I don't know, you could use it that way, but shadow in that sense is used as things that you cannot see but now you can see, so it can be good or bad things. Shadow that I'm using, in the sense that I'm using, is the blind spots of the ego, where we think we are really great and a good person and gentle hearted while stepping on people's feet and not realizing that we've been stepping over their toes. So self awareness work, understanding our potential capacities, grieving where we are incapable, uh, and humbly accepting where we are capable, and our patterns and stuff. So cultivate patterns, meaning repetitive compulsive situations that we find ourselves in. Cultivate compassion and understanding for ourselves and others. Align more deeply with dharma, our true path and purpose, which is naturally also unfolding, but sometimes there's time and time there's a place and time for a subtle nudge for it to be aligned deeply. Embrace the mystery and complexity of existence without needing certainty. So yeah, while Jyotish is such a paradox, because on some level Jyotish is seen as something that makes life more certain, but actually what happens is that you become okay with uncertainty because you realize that there's an order that's taking care of everything, and there's not much you can do. And yoga and Ayurveda and stuff is designed to take care of you becoming okay of all the uncertainty, all the chaos that can unfold at any given moment. So, this journey requires patience, humility, and dedication, no doubt, like every journey of value. Living Jyotish as a practice means showing up daily, for sure, in awareness, curiosity, openness, allowing the discipline, science, to shape our being over time. Though I avoid using the word science, as I always say, it's a very sensitive word, and Jyotish hasn't isn't close to science at the moment. So it is a sacred dialogue between the celestial, the metaphysical, the cosmic, and the self in some sense. And self not in this Buddhist sense that there is no self, but self that I am. Ultimately, I'm obviously my perceptions are there's an interdependent nature of things and stuff, but right now I am. So that's self, ongoing and infinite. So it's an ongoing journey of understanding and discovering more about what this is, where we are, who we are, why is this happening. And it is the true perfect tool for philosophization, or for grounded philosophization into practical philosophization of the nature and structure of life. So, thank you so much. This is probably going to be the last lecture of this series, How to Study Jyotish, of this course of some sort. And maybe I'll make more lectures if necessary, but I feel I've covered almost everything that someone who is engaging with Jyotish for the first time, or even someone who has been engaging with Jyotish for a while and wants to sort of reassess their approach towards Jyotish, how they're studying Jyotish and stuff. So that's why I wanted to create this series. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you soon in another lesson, another lecture of some kind. Thank you so much.